So the question I wanted answered in this video was, do you go with Nike's newest Metcon 6 or do you save a couple of bucks by going with the older 5s?
I just wanted to know if I got scammed by paying $160 for a pair of Metcon 6s. Like, did Nike just do the bare minimum amount of work to go from the 5 to the 6 and just, you know, bumped up the version number?
That's what you're gonna find out in this video as we show you the differences on paper, the differences while working out, and then we'll talk about our answers to our questions and recommendations.
Roll the review. Yes, we have a gym dog.
Aww. We do!
So on paper, there aren't too many differences between the Metcon 5 and the 6, unlike the differences between the 4 and the 5. There's really only one set of differences that stand out to us. In general, the Metcon 6 is a bit longer than the 5s, though that extra length doesn't seem specific to one area. The toe vent fabric is much thinner on the 6s than the 5s, which means better breathability, though they aren't as warm and they won't protect your feet as much. The throat on the 6 is thicker and a bit more rigid, which is made more apparent by the higher collar on the 6. The heel notch is thicker and fuller, and there's also a semi-rigid strip that really bothers Aaron. The design of the heel area of the Metcon 6 is where the biggest difference occurs. On the inside, the 6 looks identical to the 5. There's a slight difference in the cushioning in the midsole, as the heel cup is slightly softer on the Metcon 6s, as Nike says the durometer reading is 51, which is lower than the 54 to 60 on the Metcon 5s. Now, one of the standout features of the Metcon 5s and 6 is the inclusion of a pair of lifts they call, well, Hyperlift. Now, they look identical, but the Hyperlifts included with the Metcon 6 are softer than the 5s. We clocked the 6s having a durometer reading around 50 and the 5s having a reading around 60, which kind of falls in line with the changes in the heel cup design.
So those are the differences on paper. So, you know, what happens with an improved heel area? That's, well, what we're gonna find out, or what you're gonna find out, because we already know. So here's the plan. We are gonna do a version of Cindy, the Fit Gears review a Cindy, which is just gonna be a 30-minute AMRAP, and every 3 rounds we're gonna switch. So Val's gonna do some work, I'm gonna do some work. But switching, we're gonna switch out our shoes. So from the Metcon 6s to the Metcon 5s and vice versa, just to see if there's a difference. Now, I've got those lifts in my Metcons. How about you, Val?
Oh, I didn't bring mine. Should I put mine in?
I don't care. We're in our tiny gym. It's 25 degrees Fahrenheit out. So I'm wearing a toque and a mask and 3 layers.
Really? Just like no music? Sucks.
So after all that, it's the first time doing kipping pull-ups in a really long time, and push-ups. Apparently things I don't do. 5s, 6s, shoelaces came undone. That's probably my biggest gripe about these shoes. A little better on the 6s. The body weight movements, I thought this bending would bother me on the push-ups. It didn't. So that's kind of nice. Metcon 6s did feel a bit more stable when I was doing the squats, the body weight squats, but I don't know if that's a function of these shoes being slightly newer. I haven't put a lot of wear and tear on my 5s, so it should be pretty similar. I don't know if it's because the inner sole was a little softer. It's because it's got a lower durometer label on it. What do you think, Val?
Pretty much the same. These I agree feel more stable when you're squatting. I'm not sure, but I feel like this is higher. Like the ankle support part is higher, so it feels more stable when doing squats and stuff. The laces for mine on the 6s didn't come undone. But neither did the 5s, which is weird because they always come undone. These are so short, the ones on the 5s, that when I would like tighten them, they would just come out of the hole. Other than that, not that much of a difference.
Which makes sense given that the shoes almost look identical, but we'll play around with the ankle support a bit more. I think the next session we'll do is going to be some squat and some ollie lifting. So, time for a beer.
So after our modified Cindy workout, we spent the next few days really trying to figure out the differences between the shoes. We spent a lot of time on how our feet felt in the shoes through warm-ups, through hinge movements, jumping, lateral movements, single leg movements, skipping, squats, by going through the different movements with different versions of the Metcons on our feet. Then we did this. So here's the Metcon 5 versus 6 weightlifting challenge. We're gonna do 4 times muscle snatch, 4 times power snatch, 4 times squat snatch, and then after that, we switch shoes. And by switch shoes, I mean we're gonna take one Metcon 5 off and put the other one on. So we're gonna do that with snatches, and we're also gonna do that with clean. So we're gonna go through all this with one set of footwear, redo it again with a different set, and do the same thing with the clean. So this feels like it shouldn't be a lot of work, but it probably will be. Now this is the first time you've seen us doing reviews for these products, because this is the first video of our new channel.
So click subscribe.
We've got a ton of other shoe reviews to do. You guys need to let us know if you want us to review the GoRucks, the NoBulls next. We've got the Pumas on order, and when the Nano X1s come out, or 11s or whatever, calling it, we'll review those too. So leave in the comment section below to know which shoes you want us to compare probably these Metcon 6s to. Also, these are her shoes. Those ones are mine. So after all that, doing that workout, swapping out my shoes, the only thing I noticed were that the Metcon 6s felt better on my right foot than they did on my left foot. And I've got a pretty busted up left foot, so that might be a reason why. But halfway through this session, we kind of both noticed that the Metcon 6s are a tad higher than the Metcon 5s. And so that it feels like it gives you a bit more stability when you're doing some heavier stuff.
Yeah, so throughout the workout, you mentioned that the 6s have this like strip here on the inside. It's like harder, so it does feel like it gives you a little more stability. Like let's say on a squat clean, when you feel like your knees are going in, like I can kind of feel that here, and it kind of helps stabilize a little bit. Up until now, I think I like the 6s better, just because the laces stay tied. The laces are terrible on the 5s.
And one of the reasons why Val and I are so buttoned up is minus 13 degrees in this garage.
Freezing.
It's degrees Celsius, not Fahrenheit. And so it's a little nippy. Like I've got 3 layers on just so I can stay warm.
I'm wearing Aaron's pants.
So at the end of the day, Val, do you upgrade to the 5 or do you upgrade to the 6 from the 5?
To be honest, I would say no.
How about from the 4 to the 6? Or whatever Nike shoe you were using before, would you go from the 4 or the free form, whatever, to the 5 or to the 6? Because like the Metcon 5s are like 110 bucks. These things were 160. And so like for 50 bucks, the heel. Now, do I feel scammed, you know, spending 160 bucks on a pair of Metcon 6s when I have a pair of 5s? Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, I actually like the 5s better, even though the stupid shoelaces don't stay tied together. I can fix that, I haven't. But the power that I get from the harder sole, I like better over the Metcon 6s.
Now that you say that, I think for you, yes, that's like a more logical answer because you lift way more weight than I do. Like you've been doing CrossFit way longer and you can actually feel that. Like I feel like I'm more beginner and I don't really notice those differences. Like I can't lift that much weight. So to me, the power part kind of feels the same with both shoes. I did like that the 6s are higher and they feel like a little more, I wouldn't say stable, but they just feel like a little more ankle support is there.
It felt solid.
Yeah.
Solid.
I like that. What I didn't like is when I missed one of my double unders, I almost broke my toes with the rope through the 6s because there's like no protection for your toes. So if you're learning double unders, do not wear the 6s. Going back to the question before, I probably would stick with the 5s then because as a beginner, you really don't need a pair of shoes that's that expensive.
I will say that I could feel the difference because I was wearing a different shoe on each foot. And honestly, if you're going through a WOD, you're not gonna know that your sole is 10 duros softer, right? It's just, those are the differences. We're laying them out so that you guys can make the best decisions. Anyways, most annoying feature was soft tops, right?
Soft tops, yes.
Most annoying feature for me, I've got a really blown out ankle. It's actually this part because it's so rigid and it just rubs up against my surgical scar. It just, it grates me.
The laces were great.
What shoe do you want to review next?
I really want to do the NoBulls.
NoBulls?
I've heard so much about these shoes and I'm excited.
But I've got the GoRucks on. The GoRucks. Anyways, again, first time watching or anything, subscribe. This is the first video. We're throwing a pile of money and effort into this because we like fitness. Went and built a gym in a tiny garage. Like, who does that? It's unheated. It's so cold.
We have a gym dog though.
But we have a gym dog. Thanks for watching.